So here we have game 3. Doryan guarded early and is only at 1 damage. He decided to use the double mulligan rule, as opposed to last game where he didn't mulligan at all. Carving Riser as the vanguard and as the rear. If I was Doryan, I would attack that Carving Riser. Just because, based on what he did in game 1, it's really, really helpful to his strategy to have that. Doryan's calling the grade 1 Sinric, and he chooses to call it in the front row even though the stand trigger calls whatever it calls at rest. I'm not sure why he chose to put it in the front. It's in no way, shape, or form a misplay or anything bad. It's just a curious move. So grade 2, he's Duive is attacking for 16. And he's gonna have a 20k rearguard attack and another critical. Doryan's probably gonna be at 4 damage now. Well, maybe not. Yeah, not. He can guard 5k now. No, he still needs 10. He canceled out a trigger and then he got another trigger. So it took 10. He rides Brutus. And it makes his decision to put Sinric in the front even more curious. Because now he's doing that. And he's gonna move him anyway. It just makes me wonder why add the extra step of needing to do that. It's not bad by any means, it's just odd. 16 to the Vanguard. I don't think Doryan was prepared for this to be a best of 3. Because in game 1 he did really well, but game 2 and now, it seems like he's not doing as well. But then again, this is still early game. Duive isn't even at grade 3 yet. This is early game. If I said it once, I'll say it again. Having stands in a deck like this feels like a hindrance. Just because attacking with that rear first. I mean, it was fine last turn, but in the next turn, unless Doryan Legions, stand triggers are going to be not as helpful. Of course, if he does Legion, it'll be amazing. And I hope Doryan has a 10k shield to deal with that, so we can just take the Vanguard. And he has the bicuspid. Gonna keep calling it that. I don't care. No guards and gets critted. Okay, it's not a double. So now Doryan is in an extremely similar situation as the last game. The damage is 5 to 2. $19 at the Vanguard. He does have enough to defend himself. Doryan is gonna have to make up a lot here. It's absolutely not impossible. It's absolutely not impossible. If he got a heal and a crit, or 2 crits, he could actually tie it up with just that, provided they hit. Guild is skill active. Since Doryan Legion, he's probably going to call Ruin Eagle so that he has an extra... Oh, no, he's not, actually. He calls Hospasado. That's interesting, actually. If it was me, I would have just called the Ruin Eagle so I have the 10k boost all the time instead of just this one turn. I mean, if he did, this would be hitting for 36 anyway. Now it's just hitting for, I think, 37. In this particular instance, that extra 1k doesn't mean anything. If I was Doryan, I would have attacked with the other side first, just because it helps the stand trigger more if one comes up. So yeah, 37 at the Vanguard. And he's going to try to guard it with a shield riser. And I don't think that's enough. No, that's not enough. That's only 26. Even if he added a 10k, it wouldn't be enough. He took the damage before Doryan did the twin drive. Doryan gets a heal trigger. Exactly what he needs in this situation. Him getting the heal trigger in that sense didn't change the state of the game. So we can just continue. But yeah, now it's tied up again. But Mega Flare can Legion, and it gains an extra critical. If Doryan can't guard that, he'll probably lose here. If he can, however, he might win here. Because it doesn't seem like Duive can guard. Another advantage Doryan has is that he did heal, and now that he's at 4 damage, he can afford one. The biggest advantage for this is that Mega Flare can only gain his extra critical if at least 4 units are resting, so no matter what he does, he has to attack with a rear first if he wants that extra critical. So Doryan can take that first attack that comes from the rear no matter which one it is, and if he gets a trigger, it'll help his guard that much more. The other benefit is that Mega Flare doesn't gain additional power when attacking, so it's just going to be 20 with the boost 25. That's not horribly difficult to guard compared to other legions that gain a little power when they attack and make it so that they hit for more than 21. Okay, so if Duive runs stands, which I don't think he does from what I've seen from this deck so far, if he doesn't, Doryan can literally drop his entire hand to defend himself here. if that's what he has to do. I'll also say if that's what he can afford to do. Oh, he has a perfect guard. Even better. So it all comes down to Dive's twin check. First is a grade 2, second is a heal trigger. Heal goes off. No, it doesn't. The heal does not go off because Doryan is at 5. So this is turned into a real match. This is turned into a close match. Neither of them are hitting for the super strong numbers that they were before. None of these units, nor none of the rears. But they're still hitting for good numbers. They're going to force out 10k blocks. It would be better if they had an extra 1k to get out even more. And this is what I meant when I said the Eagle should have been there instead, because that would be 36 if it was. And Doryan gets another heal trigger, actually. So even if Dive has enough to guard this next one, and he probably does now, he got the draw trigger. Even if he has enough to guard, Doryan is once again in a position where he can take a hit. The only problem with it is, I don't know if he has another... It'd be hard for him to have another perfect guard in this situation. So he might actually need to dump his entire hand if Dive attacks the exact same way as he did before. And it looks like he's thinking about going straight into battle phase. If I was Dive, I would attack with the drill wing side first. And Doryan intercepted with 2 for that side. I'm honestly not sure why. That was kind of a mistake. He should have just taken the very first attack. Because if this attack hits, he can counterblast 1, put that in the soul, and then stand. But it won't matter now. Without the trigger, that would have mattered because, you know, without it, then that would have been an extra 5k he would have had to guard. But since he did get the trigger, it doesn't matter. And he does have another perfect guard. That surprised me. I did not expect to see that. The fact that he gave that power to the rear tells me that he might run stands. Unfortunately, that double trigger means that Doryan's going to have a hell of a time getting through those defenses no matter what he calls now. If Doryan had just taken the first one, he would have only needed 1 intercept for the second one. And then from there, he could have perfect guarded, and he'd still have 1 unit on the field. He'd be in a much better situation than he is now, is what I'm saying. So Doryan seriously has to make up for that. And it looks like he put back his perfect guards, actually. His perfect guards and a heal. And Messagical Seeker, which, if I remember right, is the draw trigger. Okay, so he put back a perfect guard and put in uh Selic, Sillin, Killin. I'm just gonna call him Killin. High Spirit Seeker Killin. But yeah, he put back Killin because he needed it for the Legion, because he had one in hand. He had one in hand, he rode one, and he's got two, and he had two in drop, yeah. So Lucaris is gonna gain 4k when it attacks. And this is 30k to the Vanguard. I'm gonna say it again. If that was Rune Eagle, this would be 33. And that would change the guard a lot. And then 24 gets blocked with a 10k because of the trigger. Doryan can't afford to take damage now, which is bad because he only has 4 cards in hand. He can't really avoid it anymore. I mean, what was his twin check? A grade 3 in Gildas. So unfortunately, I think it's impossible for Doryan to have enough guard. He'd have to heal trigger to survive. So let me get a gauge of how possible that is. No heals in damage. No heals in soul. No heals in drop. So all 4 of his heals are there. If I was Doryan, I'd just take this. Unless he really does have the ability to guard all 3 attacks. And if he does, I commend him. I really do. He's taking it. And it's not a heal. Good game, Doryan. You did well. You did your best. Came up slightly short. But yeah, like Duive said, those were really good games. Especially game 1 and game 3. Game 2, not so much.